All right, we had him on last week. We had phone issues. We're very happy he is back on now. We have Doc 420 joining us, who is we'll go ahead and give you a quick background here. Prominent physician, decided to get into the medical marijuana industry, I believe, or not industry. I guess, is it an industry, Doc 420?
I think everything's an industry at some level.
Yeah.
All right, now,
as long as you're getting involved in something, why not use the word industry?
So Doc 420 is a guy who had a great practice, physician, surgeon, all kinds of stuff. Decided that, basically because of pain medication and everything else, he figured out that marijuana is a perfect thing to help people out, and decided to go all in, put all his chips on all of this. Has a great practice at 420 Camden Boulevard in Beverly Hills, in California, and a possible reality show. He's got a podcast, everything else. So you're the expert about medical marijuana, and welcome to the show finally. Sorry about last week.
Second-time caller, long-time listener.
All right, so
let me
here.
just say this. Is this the expert? No. An expert who's getting better all the time? I hope so.
Okay.
We
will go with that.
Yeah, experts a thrown around word a lot, but we don't know anybody that knows more than you. How about that?
That sounds great. I feel really good about that.
Okay, good.
All right, so I have never tried marijuana at all. And I never have been around it my entire life. Friends, family, everybody I know does it, with the exception of me. I don't know why. However, I will admit to this. When I moved to Seattle, Washington, they've got the medical marijuana here. I've taken Ambien once or twice a week. I take that, and I don't like taking pills. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I could partake in some of this, and I don't want to smoke it by any means. I don't like doing that. But I called a local place here to get the card, and you're supposed to set up an appointment. And I called them, and I guess I answered the questions wrong. Because they said, what do you need it for? And I said, well, I'm having a problem sleeping. And they said, well, I'm sorry, for sleep and mood enhancement, we cannot prescribe that for you or recommend it or whatever it's called.
I think it's one of the big problems that we have in this field as marijuana and cannabis starts to become more and more prevalent in society, is that because there are no coordinated efforts on a national level to try to get standards of practice for the use of medical marijuana for the treatment of insomnia, for example, that in some states you can't get a prescription or a recommendation for medical marijuana for insomnia, but in others you can. For example, in California, stress and insomnia and anxiety is absolutely an accepted indication for the use of medical marijuana as recommended by a physician. Now you go to another state, and it's not. There's no coordinated effort. And I think that's one of the big problems that we have in the United States in trying to get marijuana at least thought of as a medicine as opposed to just something that hippies and stoners use to get high.
Yeah.
How far away are we from this being a national thing?
Years.
Really?
Years.
That's too bad.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so uncoordinated. With regards to medical marijuana or marijuana in general, we are anything but the United States of America. You have Washington and Colorado who have enacted initiatives that will allow for recreational use. In between, you have Idaho. You have a Seattle resident. I don't know if you guys read this story just the other day, or that actually happened in March. A guy by the name of Darian Rosine, who lives in Seattle, has a summer house in Colorado, was driving from Colorado through Idaho to go back to his home on the I-84 in Seattle, was pulled over by the Idaho State Police, and was searched and rigorously examined, stopped on the highway, fully searched, 70-year-old man.
Yeah.
Because he had a Colorado license plate. So he is being federally profiled for his license plate. How can this happen? Where is the logic to any of this?
I told a story earlier today that I sent my a family member a overnight package or whatever it was, FedEx package to California, to Florida, and the feds were there and made them open it in front of him, and it was just some T-shirts.
I mean, there's no coordination. I mean, we have a drug czar in Washington who is supposed to be leading the battle against drugs, this fight against marijuana as part of the drug culture. We need a drug czar on a national level to coordinate the states and the federal government. Every state's rules are different. You have states that border other states where there are not even medical marijuana laws. We have the federal government, despite the fact that they've recently said that during the Appropriations Committee they're not going to support paying the DEA to do raids on marijuana growers or users or anything like that, and yet they still have these things called burn grants every year where $4 billion went last year to states to fight marijuana. There's no coordinated effort. And again, I'm not an attorney. I work with attorneys. I try to keep up with all the information. I really focus more on the medical end of things, but it's such a mess. It's going to be years and years and years, and even after we get this national policy, I got to believe, just by the basic nature of the United States and the way we work, is there's still going to be the few on the sidelines who are constantly nipping at the heel, using every potential soundbite they can get to undermine whatever progress we make. This is a long-term fight. This is not going away.
All right.
No, it's not. And I can't believe how much money we leave on the table as a nation with this, because if it was federally subsidized and they got with the people that know how to grow this stuff and get the maximum potential out of it, just how much money we could put towards the infrastructure with it.
I agree 100%. The federal government actually does have, at the University of Mississippi, they actually are growing marijuana. They've been growing it for years. There's a program that was initiated back in the 70s that allowed people to have federally sponsored and federally supplied marijuana. And there's currently only 2 people who are still alive in the United States. One guy by the name of Irv Rosenfeld, who the federal government sends, I think he gets 10 marijuana, he gets 300 marijuana cigarettes from the federal government every month to combat what is called multiple exostoses. That means his bones just have these bumps that grow on him that are very painful.
Yes.
He smokes 10 of these a day, gets 300 a month from the federal government. So they are involved, but it's almost like they're trying to keep it on the down low to the point that nobody ever can participate in this. It just seems to me so. Can I use the word ass backwards? Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
You can say anything you want on this damn show.
It seems to me so ass backwards the way we're approaching all this. And again, I'm going to give you from the medical standpoint. I'm sure that there are attorneys and politicians who can speak to the legalities of this, but our whole basic philosophy of condemning this plant, something that grows on this planet as we do, and is vilify it to make it some kind of demon seed when we don't even have the ability to do research on it. It's just crazy. It's just nuts to me.
What is your opinion on somebody comes to you and you want to treat them on something? What is your opinion on smoking it versus edibles?
Intuitively, I have to believe that any type of smoke that you inhale into the lungs can do some type of damage. That's my intuition without having any of the research. I can tell you that the International Journal of the IJC, it's the International Journal of Cancer, is going to release a study very, very soon that was 5,000 cases, individual subjects in the U.S., the U.K., New Zealand, and Canada, that says that none of the evidence supports that smoking marijuana increases your risk for cancer, increases your risk for COPD, and they took it one step further and said that cannabis smoking does not seem to not only increase the risk of COPD or airway cancers, there's even a suggestion that at low doses, cannabis may be protective for both conditions. I'm not sure if I buy that.
Yeah, true.
I don't know yet. I think we need more studies, but intuitively it seems to me if you would smoke in someone's lungs, it can't be good.
What about vaporizers?
Again, anything that doesn't involve smoke, and again, this is purely on an intuitive basis.
Okay.
I have no studies to support this. If this is just as a physician, I see someone smoking their lungs, I'm imagining something bad's going to happen. We need more and more of these studies to find this stuff out. Vapor obviously doesn't have the same type of toxic effects that the pure carbon-based smoke would have. But again, we don't have the studies, and the reason we don't have the studies is because at this point, cannabis is still considered a Schedule I drug by the DEA and the FDA. That means that it is considered as abusive in its potential to be abused, and has no medical benefit in the same category as LSD and heroin.
Wow.
That's where we are right now. The DEA and the FDA are considering it down, scaling it to the next level, which would be Schedule II, which includes cocaine. And meanwhile, Schedule III are all the opioids, the Vicodins, the OxyContins, that 18,000 people last year overdosed on. These are prescription medicines. And we can't do the research on marijuana because it's classified as a Schedule I drug.
So
it's nuts.
Who is doing the research if the U.S. isn't? Because obviously we're hearing at least about health benefits of it, so it's got to be being researched somewhere. Are they reliable governments or industries that are doing these testings outside of the U.S.? How do we know that this is working?
Well, the IJC, the International Journal of Cancer, says their study is a combination of the United States, the UK, New Zealand, and Canada. I trust 3 out of 4 of those governments. So I'm hoping that, there is some validity what they're saying.
Damn Canadians.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you choose the 4th. I don't know.
I love this guy.
Yeah.
Man.
There are new grants that are coming out. People are doing some research. But again, everything is going to be tempered by the politics of the issue and the pure fact that it's still a Schedule I drug. We've got to lower classify this thing and treat it as a medicine. I mean, this is a plant that grows on this planet, and setting aside the whole philosophy of whether you believe in God or some intelligent being that runs this whole universe, from a teleological standpoint, we on this planet are the equivalent of bacteria on a petri dish. We live on this planet because this planet allows us to be living on it. As such, if the planet is growing these things, why are we so afraid of this? Why are we not doing the research to see if this can be a medicine?
Because it's a control and a money thing. That's why.
Yeah. So,
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
We only have a couple minutes left, but I want to know what your mission is. What are you about? I mean, obviously, there's a possible television show in the works with you, and you also have a podcast. What's your mission behind all of this?
Well, ultimately, I think it's 4-pronged. I think, and if I can remember the 4 prongs, I'll tell each one of them. But the first one is obviously to get this rescheduled from Schedule I to Schedule III. Second is to decriminalize it. The third is to get the research done to treat this as a medicine. And number 4, to get access. So for people to get access and to be more aware. I call myself I am Dr. 420, but at the end of the day, I feel almost like Barabbas, Kirk Douglas, the end of Barabbas.
Yeah.
I want everybody to scream, I am Dr. 420.
Yeah.
I am Dr. 420.
Nice.
That's the mission. Let's raise the awareness and treat it like a medicine. Let's not vilify and demonize a plant that grows on the same planet that we grow on. Your guy Mario Batali, he's a Seattle guy, right?
Yes.
Whenever he cooks, he says if it grows together, it goes together. Well, marijuana grows and cannabis grows on the planet, and so do we. Why aren't we at least elevating the conversation to treat this respectfully, let's at least do the research instead of just believing the propaganda. If it turns out that it doesn't help, at least we know then.
Yeah.
Well, let's do something.
No, we got it. Well, go to IamDoctor420.com. That's IamDoctor420.com. Learn all about him. Learn how to listen to the podcast. And we appreciate you taking the time today. And it's something our audience obviously gives a real big damn about. So thank you so much, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah. And please come
Thank
back on
guys,
sometime.
And best of luck with everything.
All right,
All
you
right,
too,
thank
Doc.
you. All right, bye-bye. Dr. 420, IamDoctor420.com. He does have his podcast on there. And if you're living in California, hit him up.
Yeah.
He's go talk to him. See if you can treat some of your ailments.
I like that guy a lot.
He's awesome.
I'd like to have him back on for sure. So there you go. It could be a full discussion, but he's on the West Coast. Had to take him later in the show, but one day maybe we'll get him earlier and get into it full bore.